Welcome back to Talkin Shop with ShopSabre. Obviously, we've got another episode for you today. We're going to be diving into a topic that hits home for every small and medium business owner out there, and it's finding comfort in your growth. And reality is, because growth, while exciting, can be uncomfortable. It stretches you, it challenges you, it pushes you out of a familiar territory, and yet it's exactly where the magic happens. It's really where all the fun begins. So first, I want to introduce our built-in keeper of the pens, Nick Peters.
Every week I purposely ignore that line of what we're doing here with my questions. Yeah, that's always something new.
I like to send Nick the show notes, and I always put it in there to see if he's gonna know what's coming.
I always purposely ignore it so I can be surprised and actually give a true giggle when it's funny. And that's kind of funny.
Yeah. Keeper of the pens. Am I wrong? You're the keeper of the pens.
They are. They're stuck under my desk. They're a great footrest most days.
The only reason I came up with that was because last week I needed a pen. And I was like, where the heck are the pens at? And everybody's like, they're under Nick's desk. I'm like, why is he the keeper of the pens? Hey, there's a topic.
Because guys like you come and think they can just steal them.
Yeah, you're right.
Take them for their own personal needs.
That's what I said. You're the keeper of the pens.
And then I can't sell them on my eBay store at a discounted rate.
Exactly.
Make some side cash.
The funny part is everybody knows where they're at anyways.
I know.
They're just under Nick's desk. They're not going to go there.
The great thing is there's nobody here before me.
Yep.
And there's not many people who stay here after me that are going to take them. I mean, the sales guys will, but nobody else comes up here after hours.
Fair.
Maybe the cleaning lady.
Maybe she's been taking them.
The Mista lady.
Whoa.
From Cappy Gilmore.
Yeah, she might take a box or two.
No, I would know if there's some. I got a pretty good tally on where we're at there.
How many are left over there?
How many boxes?
Yeah.
Probably about 8.5.
I'm going to check it after the show.
I bet you there's at least 8.5.
All right, fair enough. Anyways.
Yeah. Nobody pulls a fast one on me.
Well, I'm going to pull a fast one. I'm going to leave empty boxes. Sucker.
Don't do it. Now you just admitted to the crime. I'll know who did it.
What? Anyways, let's talk about today's topic, okay?
You're going to be a terrible thief someday.
Terrible.
You got to keep your mouth shut. You can't tell your plans to the
I'm
public.
going to write it in invisible. I'm going to cover myself in invisible ink, remember?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It worked.
Anyways,
I'm excited to talk about today's topic.
that makes one of us. Just kidding.
Fair enough. We're going to talk about embracing the suck. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of true.
You have to.
Being uncomfortable sucks. So,
But it also makes you better.
It does. I mean, doing something new for many people, though, is scary. I think we can all agree with that. And the feelings we get from being busy are not always enjoyable. Like, being busy it's nice to be busy, but that feeling you get while you're busy isn't enjoyable. You know, and
when is this list ever going to end?
Right. Like, it's worrying about how we do something that maybe we've never done before. It's always like a distracting feeling. And I don't know, when we embrace the feeling, I don't know, we start to, I'm trying to think of like how to explain that. Like, I feel like when you embrace the feelings that you get during that, like if you can just be okay with it, you usually see a way out of your situation, right? You start to see that like there's light at the end of the tunnel, if you will.
And it's not going to like overwhelm you with anxiety on how you're going to get through it or get it done maybe. If you like just accept the fact that, hey, this is how it's going to be. Like right now for us in December, it's crazy, right? Like you just have to understand that it's going to be crazy. You can't like get upset about it.
Well, I also think it's a good thing.
Embrace it and work through it.
Yeah, because like I've learned over the years to feel like we're only in these situations because we're growing.
Sure.
If we weren't growing, we wouldn't be busy. We wouldn't feel uncomfortable. Like, so you need to embrace it as it's going to it helps bring you to a new level, right?
For sure.
So anyways, long story short, that's what we're going to talk about today. Right?
Sweet. Yeah, I like it. I got questions first, though.
Okay.
Just 3.
Fire away.
You ready?
I'm born ready.
Hope you have your thinking cap on for these ones.
I don't.
Some pretty tough ones for you.
Okay.
All right. On a previous Talkin Shop episode, using computers to keep track of things has been a failure when the software does not help do the task. What? I don't know. Oh, that's an older example.
I was like, there's no question yet.
But I was forced to use setup software that did not allow showing pictures. The other thing is that a lot of people are reluctant to share what they know in order to retain some power.
Well, that was really confusing because I put a weird pause in the middle of your question.
It seemed like it was way too long. I thought I went too far and then got into the answer.
No, you didn't get into any answers.
Sorry.
Okay, so the answer to that question is, it's pretty straightforward though. It's bad systems don't solve problems. I mean, that's the easy answer to that is if you have the right size technology, right? If you've right sized your technology, it's always going to be better than trying to do things the hard way, I guess is the best way to put it, right?
Yep.
Like democratizing the knowledge of your processes helps everyone. And really that's going to help you grow if it's done correctly. So I think the biggest failure can be somebody who thinks they're more important because they're retaining information.
Sure.
Like admittedly as an employee, maybe that makes sense. But as a business owner, I can promise you that they don't view it the same way. Like a person who is a keeper of the information, yes, it might make them feel important, like you said, but that person is less important to the business.
Absolutely.
Because you're so unwilling to teach people and you're so unwilling to make the business better that you become a risk to the business. So like it's better in those cases to not be the keeper of the information, because the person who's the keeper of the information, when things go wrong, that person's on the hot seat. I'd rather everybody understand how to navigate it so that one person can't cause a big problem within the organization.
100%.
And that's why big companies don't have keepers of information. They have systems, they have departments, they have, many people that can do one job because one person isn't going to slow that organization down.
Sure.
So
for the record, we both confused each other on that one because when you use that really big word that I'd never heard before,
okay,
I was like, I was lost. I just quit paying attention.
Was it the word keeper?
No. Democratizing.
Oh, got it. Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. Let's move on to an easier one.
Okay.
On the Crocodile video, how do I get the file?
Purchase it. Right?
Simple answer.
Yeah. We got ours off of Etsy. I know there's a lot of file sources out there, but you just got to purchase it. Or you can design it yourself, I guess. I can't design that.
No.
That was too complicated.
I'd go down to Florida and make a crocodile video, like wrestling a crocodile or something. That'd be kind of sweet.
I'm not doing that.
Why not?
Nope, not doing it.
You could be like the caddy in Happy Gilmore who lost his hand in crocodile.
Don't want to be like that. Nope. Though I think the question, I'm going to kind of back up. I think the intention was like, how can I get it from you? We don't own the rights to that file, so we can't give it away.
You can get a lot of files relatively inexpensively, though.
Really cheap. I think we probably paid $1 for it or something. It's stupid cheap online, but yeah, we bought the file for a one-time use.
Right.
We didn't buy it for redistribution. So technically we'd be breaking the terms and conditions of that purchase, and that would be bad. So sorry, can't give you that file. We don't own it. We purchased it for a one-time use. So
when you're not the type to be a thief or steal things like the pens you said you were going to steal.
Fair.
Last one.
If I own them, am I stealing them?
Probably not.
There we go.
Valid. You win. Okay, number 3.
Yep.
Why are you not recommending cutting steel with a CNC router?
It's due to the lateral forces associated with such. Specifically in a CNC router, the bearings are not actually the same as a CNC mill in terms of the actual bearings themselves. Many times, like the spindle itself, as an example, has a different torque and RPM band or range. And they're just not designed to take on that added load. So the material you're cutting, in this case steel, right, is going to oftentimes have a higher stress level production than the bearings are rated to handle. So what will happen is premature failure. So which ends up being costly, because when a bearing fails from natural causes, it looks very different.
Sure.
From an inspection standpoint than when a bearing fails from external causes. And I can tell you this, that I've been doing this a long time. I've had a lot of people tell me, no, man, I don't know. The spindle just failed. Send it in, we'll inspect it. And we pull the spindles apart, and you can very clearly tell the bearings are all cracked.
Sure.
Cracks don't happen from natural failure. Generally speaking, it's a force, right? Something pushed against it, causing it to, to deviate. And so there are certain telltale signs inside of a spindle or inside of the bearing that makes it pretty easy to say, no, that one's not going to be warranted. And then, of course, the person always gets upset at you because you didn't cover it under warranty. But the reality is, most people know what they did.
Absolutely.
And I understand it. People think by screaming and yelling, it's going to get it accomplished, but it will not. I've been called terrible names and terrible things, and I've had people threaten me online and how they're going to tarnish my reputation over it. But at the end of the day, like, warranties are warranties for a reason, right? Like we still have to protect the company. We still have to protect the product. And at the end of the day, we don't even make those calls, even though people want to yell at us. Like HSD or the other spindle manufacturers that we work with, they have their set parameters and their set inspections. And so if you use it inappropriately and you crack that spindle bearing, they are not going to cover it. And if they're not going to cover it, I'm certainly not going to be able to just pay out of pocket, and say, hey, yeah, we'll cover it. Like at that day, if they're not covering it, they have cause for not doing it.
For sure.
So don't mean to be harsh on that, but that's why we say just don't cut steel with it because they're not intended for that. They're not mills. They're CNC routers for a reason. We don't build CNC mills.
Right.
So
you know what they say. There's some rules that are not meant to be broken.
There are some rules not meant to be broken.
Don't break that rule.
That is very much the case here. Yeah, don't break that rule. That one is one. If you want to peck drill, a hole with a drill bit, probably not going to run into a whole lot of issues as long as you're smart about it. But even that, like you run the risk of if you tell it to go down too fast, you're putting too much force into it. The bit hopefully breaks before anything else. The bit should be the weak point in that direction. But sometimes bits are designed to be pretty tough and the forces actually will surpass the bearings themselves. So you got to be careful.
Perfect. That's all I got. Great answers today.
Hey, thanks. I try.
Good.
Anyways, moving on. So let's move back to the topic. We talked about it a little bit here, but let's talk about why growth feels a bit uncomfortable. When we get into things like growth is one of the biggest, sorry, my phone started going crazy here. I don't know why it's ringing off the hook right now, but
you're famous.
Famous. No, I'm not famous. That's far from the case. I don't know. Like to me, growth is like a paradox to business, right?
Should be.
You want it, right? It's something you want. You want growth. You really need it, right? To get bigger, you need to grow. And you kind of plan for it. I mean, people always plan to do it, but then when it shows up, right? When it happens, it scares the hell out of you.
Yep.
I'm gonna be honest. Like it's one of those things where it just scares the hell out of you and it creates a discomfort. And reality is discomfort is normal. And we're wired as humans to find comfort in routine. It's why people don't like change. We like predictability. We like familiarity. That's why people don't like to go out of their way to put themselves in unfamiliar situations. But growth disrupts all of that. Like it's unfamiliar. It's unpredictable. It changes your routine. And so the truth behind growth is, the same mindset that built your business won't carry it through the next chapter. Like oftentimes when you're growing, it's because you're pushing outside of what was designed around it, right?
Yep.
And you start hitting these walls, if you will, like these invisible walls. And some of that's like capacity constraints or manpower limitations or, your workflow breaks down. We've had that where just suddenly your workflow doesn't keep up anymore. And you have maybe outdated equipment. We've seen that a lot in our business where people realize their current machine can't keep up with the demand. They don't have a tool changer and suddenly they need one, or the machine's just too slow or doesn't have a big enough working bed, right? It's just, there's simply too much demand for your current operation, whatever that is. And people view this friction as a problem. And the reality is it's not a problem. It's really, to me, it's a sign, right? It's a signal to you that you're graduating, right? You're kind of moving on to that next level, if you will. And every successful company that you admire, I mean, every business owner has that company they kind of look up to or they've looked at, I guarantee they've all felt that way at some point. They felt that pressure that comes along with that like unknown.
Yep.
And the pressure doesn't ever change. Like it's just, it looks different for every business, right? It's the real world feelings. It just hits you like a ton of bricks. It's, real world things are like, it's the discomfort, right? I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's just, no, I think it's as simple as, like you said, you're trying to get your business to grow, right?
Yeah.
And maybe you've been doing it for, 5 years and not much has changed, right? And you've been trying to do the same things to get it to change. And
right.
all of a sudden you figure out something maybe new you can produce or whatever it might be that like makes your business grow, right? And then all of a sudden it's there. There's just a pile of orders right in front of you. And you're like, oh, well, this is what I've been trying to get to, but it hasn't happened for so long. And now it's here. What do you do? Like,
right. Yeah, I think that's the thing. I mean, like, let's talk about it for a second there. Let's talk about like real relatable scenarios here. Small, medium businesses around the world face this problem. And, the one that always sticks out to me is it's the shop that was too busy to grow, right? you think about that, like, and maybe that's you. Maybe I'm speaking and you're like, that's us right now. But I think about, like over the years, I've worked with a lot of shops, and, I think about a specific instance that comes to mind is a customer. It was a cabinet shop, right? Cabinetry shop that was consistently booked out months. I mean, we're talking 12 weeks, right? And the owners, they always think like, hey, we're slammed, right? That's a good thing. We're so slammed. But what they didn't realize, and this is a real story that I talked to a customer about, and he said that behind the scenes, their lead times were slipping, right? Because they were so busy. The team was burning out. That's the hardest thing because they can't gauge the burnout. And the quality was getting somewhat inconsistent because of that burnout,
Sure.
right? People make mistakes they normally wouldn't make. And the customers, more importantly, were starting to get impatient because they were waiting so long. And, the mistakes, with being busy, the mistake in being busy, I should say, is really people think that's healthy. And a lot of times when you invest in something, and in their case, they invested in automation, a ShopSabre machine, and they ended up with a better workflow. They updated their tools, right? They were able to use different processes, if you will, right? And the lead times that they had on their product dropped by 4 weeks. So they went from 12-week lead times to 8-week lead times, which might not seem like a lot, but that's a whole month, right? Yeah, like that's a lot. And then now they were able to take on more jobs than they could previously. Because what people don't realize is the growth wasn't the risk, really.
Right.
Standing still was.
Well, I think that that's kind of putting aside the thought that you're too busy to grow and realizing,
right?
Yeah, we might be too busy, but there's also other things we can do to continue to grow and make it feel like we're not less busy, right? By adding automation.
Right.
So then you take those things, you take out the tired employees, the burnt out employees, the employees that are trying to do things too fast and making mistakes by doing this. So it makes you quicker, more efficient. Everything, the quality goes up.
Right.
Your employees aren't feeling overwhelmed, right? So you just change your mindset from being too busy to grow to just being like, yeah, we're ready to grow. We just need to figure out the way to do it properly, right?
Right. Correct. And that's the thing is like the other side of it is like when you think about like a shop being afraid to hire people too, that's the other side of it, right? People say, I don't want more payroll, right? It's safer to stay small. You hear those things often, and it's like your demand isn't going to stop rising, right? So eventually your delay in hiring, and let's say your competitors aren't, right? In 6 months, you're going to end up in a situation where your largest accounts may not be there anymore because your competition is leveling up,
right? While
you're sitting there being afraid to grow, right? You're to your point, they're so afraid to make that next step that the next step is actually what's good for the company, and what you're doing currently is bad for it, right?
And then you can't get back that 6 months that you wasted not hiring somebody.
Right.
When you could have had them 6 months prior and be them trained, be up to speed on doing everything you're doing. And then now it's like the last 6 months, not necessarily wasted, but you could have used some of that time better with new employees and not being afraid to add them and level up, like you said.
Yeah. And you think about the slow turnaround too, that comes along with it, right? Like you have, slow turnaround, or in our case, we talked about it, the overextension of the team, right? When you finally hire somebody, you start to see like, oh my God, that was overdue, right? We should have done that a long time ago. And the production output, whatever it is, doubles or whatever you end up, with. But again, growth wasn't the danger in that situation. Your fear was, right? Your fear to add that cost of a person. Well, that cost ends up coming back on the ROI because that person helps you accomplish more. So,
and then you have to take somebody, away from what they're doing to train that person and spend, so it's just, it's a double-edged sword. If you continue to wait and push it off, like, we'll get to that a few months down the road or whatever it might be.
Correct.
Like you can't just continue to kick the can down the road and think it's going to be easier.
Yeah. And sometimes you just can't find people. I get that. Sure. But like, even in those cases, like I hear a lot of times, like specifically I hear it in woodworking shops a lot where they often use the phrase the automation or adding a machine, right? Adding a piece of equipment like a ShopSabre. It's too big of a step, right? That's something I hear people say. And yet they keep using these old outdated methods or tools because it's worked this long, why change it? If it's working, if it's not broke, don't fix it, right? But it's like the inefficiencies start to add up.
You can't have it both ways. You can't say that, I'm too busy, we have too much to do, but then say that you can't add something to make that easier, right?
Right. Well, I think you think about the inefficiencies in itself by using older technologies, like the lost hours, like the hours of work that people spend doing something they could do so much faster, right? And the wasted materials by doing it the hard way. And then think about your employee frustration. I mean, it goes back to burnout, but some burnout isn't actual like physical burnout. They're not like worn out. They're mentally beat up.
Yep.
They're frustrated with what you are not doing, right? In many cases, by not expanding your capabilities, it frustrates your employees. Because you have to remember, your employees talk to people too.
Yep.
They talk to others in their industry. They just like you'd be crazy if you think that somebody else isn't in their ear, whether it's family, friend, whatever, and they're hearing that the grass is greener somewhere else, right? And I get it. Grass isn't always greener elsewhere, but employee frustration is a real thing. And if you're not showing them that you're willing to grow, it tends to make them concerned, because businesses, while people think that it's safe, oh, well, look how busy we're, employees start to worry about their stability.
Yep.
As an employee, like, man, if we can't keep up, we're going to lose these accounts and then I'm going to lose my job.
Right.
So there are times when you have to think about that too. And then you have to think about the missed opportunities. One, missed opportunities in good employees, because, some of the better employees out there may not want to come work for you if you're using outdated methodology, right?
Sure. Yep. It's
because
like a step backwards.
Right. They're not going to go backwards, right?
Yep.
They're used to doing it a certain way. So you're not going to get some of this higher quality labor. The other side of it is, the flip side is, some customers, they're not going to wait on you. They just are impatient, and they may not allow 12 weeks of lead time, right? I need it in 8.
If they can go down the road and get it in 8 or 9.
Right.
I mean, sometimes people just don't look at anything but the timeline, right? And they're just in such a hurry that they'll just take something that's a month quicker without doing any type of research or knowing what they're actually going to get.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of people invest in a ShopSabre and find that like suddenly they're producing in hours what took them days or weeks. And the upgrade itself doesn't take long to pay for itself. And, it pays itself off faster a lot of times than most of them expect. And it's because the growth wasn't a gamble, right? The delay was the cost, right? The delaying it was actually a bigger cost to them than actually doing the upgrade. And so that to me is why, like, and as we kind of move forward with what I'm thinking here, but like why it's so important to think about, how growth is actually safer than staying small. Because being small, like, I know there's comfort in being small, but with growth, there's more stability, if you will. And I think that's where like many small and medium business owners, they kind of get that backwards, in my opinion, right? You think staying small is going to be the safer route, and yet the market doesn't stay small, right? The market continues to grow. The demand continues to grow. Your competition isn't going to just stay small. Your competition continues to grow. And then your customers' expectations don't stay small, right? They expect more and more. I mean, the world becomes more and more. People want more every day. And that's where your growth creates that stability, and your growth creates or opens the door for more opportunities, if you will, creates more resilience and, tough times. And it also creates better profitability, because if you're doing more, you're making more, and therefore you can afford to do more. And again, employees tend to want to work for companies that are growing.
Absolutely.
Right? That's a retention thing. People want to stay at a place they feel like they're going somewhere, versus nobody likes to be at a place where they feel like they're at a dead-end job. Right. And I think that's a big part of it, is like having your employee feel like they can grow with you. And of course, that's going to give you a competitive edge too, growing, right? Like growing gives you a competitive edge because you have more resources at your disposal to be more aggressive in your market.
Well, and I think too, like, I don't know why I just thought of this, but if you have happy employees that like enjoy being there and don't feel like they're just going through the motions, I mean, what happens if they come across somebody out in public that starts talking about something that you do?
Right.
And they can like say to them, oh yeah, I work for this place that does, they're really great. We're the best that, does this, or whatever it might be.
Right.
Now, is an employee that isn't happy with where they're at or what they're doing, like, are they going to say that? No, they're just going to not talk about it. And what if your happy employee talking to this one person leads to a giant sale? I don't know. I just feel like
that's a good call.
If you like what you're doing and love your job or whatever,
you're more likely to brag about it.
Talk positively about it, right? And people will know what you do. I don't know.
That's a good call.
That's just kind of an added whatever to that little segment we had, but I think that goes a long ways.
That is, I agree with you. I think that's a big thing that's underutilized, is like self-promotion, right? Like you're promoting yourself and promoting your company because you're excited about what you do.
For sure.
And you think about that, how many business owners brag about what they do because they love what they do. They believe in what they do. But how many employees brag about the business owner's business, right?
Right.
That's how you can gauge really, somebody's enjoyment of what they're doing. And I agree with that. I think that's huge, because especially in today's world, social media and all that, like being able to share cool things that you do is a big thing, because everybody is bombarded with advertisement from every direction, right?
Yep.
And so sometimes just natural promotion is almost a better, because there's so many influencers nowadays that like, I don't even believe influencers most of the time anymore, because an influencer is paid to tell you that.
Right.
So like, and to me, it's just an actor. Like it's a paid actor is what that is. So to me, it's more natural when somebody comes up to me unsolicited and is like, dude, actually we do this. We're the best. Like, I'm like, I want to hear about it.
Right. For sure. Because somebody that works for a place that isn't happy is not going to say that. So if you hear somebody come and say that to you, you obviously have to put some stock into what they're saying.
Yeah, I think, and the other thing is, I think the comfort that you're searching for, like as a business, you're searching for comfort. It comes after the growth. I think that's what people don't realize is like the growth is the uncomfortable part. It's the waves, right? Sure. And so, yeah, your comfort doesn't come before growth. It has to come after it. You have to push through that, to your point, like, because then your employees are going to be, happier. Things are going to be happier. And I guess to me, business is a lot like climbing a mountain, if you will. I know it sounds crazy, but you have to just start doing it, right? Like you don't wait for the perfect moment. You have to just start doing it, and you have to take the step, and then you have to adapt, because you don't know what's in front of you until you get there, right? And you just keep climbing until you get to the top. And
it takes some work and dedication, and
it does.
Time, effort, all that stuff that goes into it, but eventually you're going to reach the peak of that mountain, right?
Yeah, and what happens when you get to the peak?
You jump up and down, wave your arms in the air, and
no, that's not what you
sing songs. That's what I would do.
The view gets better.
That's true.
Like it's the reality of what it is. Like your growth creates a better view in life, right? And the mindset shift is really important here. That that helps you embrace the growth. You have to get out of your own head. And the big shift for small and medium businesses is about growth not being a threat. It's more of a requirement, right? It's got to be a requirement. Your operation should evolve as you see demand evolving, right? And your investment in your business isn't an expense. And I think people sometimes look at, like, I hear it so often, the expense of a machine. No, it's an investment. It's an investment in your product, in your process, in your business.
Yep.
It's not an expense. An expense is your lights, right? Like, this is an investment because it's going to be something you use over and over and over that you get your money back out of.
I was going to say, it's going to be something that
prints
money for you. It's the tool to make business and pay for all those things that you're leveling up with, right?
And when I say tool, it can be so many things. It can be equipment, right? Yeah, that can be a tool. The CNC router is a tool. But so are people. They're Absolutely. A tool to success, right? And systems, like you think about your CRM or your ERP system or your whatever, right? Like your product management systems, whatever you're running, it's a system, and that is part of your investment. And training is an investment. You have to train your employees to grow. Like you have to teach them skills they may not already have.
Yep.
And whether that's you send them off to a school to learn how to finish your cabinets, right? Or whether it's you teach them how to run the CNC machine, or you send them to a marketing class, whatever that looks like. These aren't just costs, these are investments, right?
Right. And I think too, on the flip side of that is you also need to be willing to put in the time to listen to your employees.
Right.
And not just like make them feel, I mean, obviously you're going to give them training, give them the things they need to do to succeed in their job, but also be willing to listen to them when they have ideas on what they think could make things better, right?
Well, they're
because you don't know everything. Like,
yeah, they're accelerators of your business.
For sure.
They're going to push you. And sometimes the customer pushes you, sometimes the employee pushes you, sometimes your spouse pushes you, your kids, heck, my kids push me, but they'll push you to think outside the box.
Yep.
That doesn't mean that you're going to always do what people tell you, right? But
sure,
they force you to think about it and then go, maybe I should explore that, right? Or look into it.
Well, and be happy and appreciate the fact that you have employees that want to come to you and tell you those things and try to make things better, right?
Yeah.
Because I feel like if you have employees that are trying to make things better, or have employees that they obviously care, right?
Right.
And they want to be there and they want things to be successful. So like embrace that.
Yeah. The other thing I think businesses, small and medium, really need to realize is like, you don't need to know everything.
Right.
You just need to start moving. Because if you don't start moving, you're going to be stuck in the same place, in the same environment, doing the same thing. And so perfect information doesn't exist. You're not going to know everything. And to your point, sometimes your employee knows it, right? Like how many times have you heard me say, like, I don't want to be the smartest person in the room?
Yep.
Like I say it all of the time because I'm okay with hiring people and having people around me that know something I don't know, because that's where I learn from.
Yep.
I learn from people, and we learn from progress. Sometimes it's progress over perfection, right? Make a step forward, take a step forward. We may not get it right away, but as long as we don't give up and we're willing to push for perfection, like we're going to try to be as close to perfection as possible in an imperfect world. Right. And so, I don't know, your people should feel the growth. I think that's one thing about your business. Like, you need to empower them. To your point, you need to train them, equip them, listen to them, like let them talk to you about their concerns. Growth is easier when the team is excited for the next chapter. 100%. I promise you, pulling your team along behind you is a hell of a lot harder than having your team pull you along.
Absolutely.
And I always tell people, how does the number one sled dog team win a sled dog race? The dogs are doing the pulling.
Yep.
It doesn't take the person behind them pushing them, right? They're doing the job. And that's really what you're doing. You're building, hey, in the spirit of Christmas, Santa's reindeer are in front of the sleigh for a reason.
It's true.
Right? Like, the magic of Santa is behind them, but the reality is the people in front of them, or in this case, the reindeer, are the one pulling the sleigh.
It's a great analogy.
Thanks. You're my Rudolph. With your nose so
big
bright.
red nose.
No, it's just like the reality of where we're at.
Well, you know what's going to happen now. Thanks, Alex.
The growth.
Hashtag put a nose on them.
Do it. Hashtag put a nose on them. Growth does create more control, though. I do believe that. Like, it's not less control, even though sometimes it feels like less control. Greater capabilities means you're actually dictating your future a little bit more.
Sure.
And instead of reacting to, hey, oh crap, we got to do this now. Like, you're kind of dictating where you're going because you're growing and you're thinking about the next chapter. And so, to me, I don't know. You have to figure out in your business, every business is different, but you have to figure out how to grow comfortably and responsibly. I mean, that's without a question, right? But the process is fairly straightforward in my eyes. I mean, we've talked about it in the past, but you have to evaluate your bottlenecks. So you have to understand, where's the delay happening? Where is it coming from? What's slowing you down? Where do you feel like the most frustration comes from? And that's where, like you said, listen to your employees. A lot of times they'll tell you that.
Right.
And then you evaluate what's real, what's not, right? And then you have to identify, like I said, your highest opportunity of those, right? They're going to give you this list of things, and it's like, okay, well, is it equipment upgrades? Is that going to solve a lot of our problems? Is it hiring more people? Is it a workflow improvement? Is it training? Is it automation? Whatever does it look like, right? How do we get through this? And then from there, you have to decide, okay, what am I going to invest in when, right? Like, first, what am I going to invest in, and when am I going to invest in it? Because the pace has to align with your business. You can't just go out and, I'm going to buy a new machine, hire 5 people, build a bigger building, and I'm going to do, you just can't just do that all at once. Sometimes you have to figure out, where is the biggest impact today?
Prioritize.
Yeah. And because growth doesn't mean reckless spending. I will say that flat out. Like, that is the number one way you can get yourself in trouble, is by recklessly spending. But it means purposeful evolution. And I think a lot of times people confuse reckless spending with timely spending, right? And they think, oh no, I'm not gonna buy that because that'd be reckless right now. No, is there a direct need for it right now for you?
Right.
Do you gain something in your business? And then lean into the support system around you, I think, is the other part of this thing, is that, when you have people, like in our case, ShopSabre, right? We're not just selling you a machine, but we're supporting companies through transitions and offering training and education and ongoing guidance. So ask questions. Don't be afraid to say, hey, what are other people doing? Or why do you recommend this? Or, learn, educate yourself throughout the process.
Yeah.
Ask your mentors, right?
I think people really need to have the mindset of, there's really not a dumb question. I know we say that all the time.
I know.
But like, if you have the question in your head, you obviously have it there for a reason, right? Because you don't know the answer. It's not a dumb question.
Correct. Agreed.
I mean,
it'd be a dumb question if you're asking the same thing over and over and over and over.
Sure. Like, if I'd answered that question 5 times and told you the same thing 5 times and you're still asking, you're clearly just not listening.
Correct.
But like, if you don't know what's going on, then we'll have it, like,
you have to ask.
It's not dumb.
Yeah. I try to get this to my kids. Like, they're always so worried about what other people think of them, right? And I hate that in today's world. The kids worry about like what other people around their kids around them think, or the teachers. And I'm like, if you have a question, you need to ask it.
For sure.
Like, I'm fine with that. And like, they do it, that's something that we talk about all the time. And it's the other thing that I think goes alongside kind of moving forward with it is, beyond the education, is like, celebrate. Celebrate your progress as a company, as a person, as a family, whatever. Like for me, celebrate when somebody finds a win, right?
100%.
And it's not perfection. Don't celebrate perfection always, right? Celebrate a step forward, progress. Celebrate when you buy that new machine. Even though you might not be using it, celebrate that with your employees.
For sure.
When
Absolutely.
you hire that new person, celebrate that with your employees. And we do it here, right? When I tell you, hey, I'm bringing somebody on board, blah, blah, I coach it up. I'm really excited about it. I tell everybody, like, let's be excited about this. We don't have to wait till that person comes on board to find out if they're good.
Right.
We can be excited about that person coming here because this is a step in the right direction, right? Because momentum matters in business, and small wins become bigger wins, especially when big wins become culture, right? And
that was what I was thinking when you're talking about bringing in a new person. Like, do you want them to just walk into an office that seems stale and quiet and unfriendly?
Right.
No, have them come in and see like the real attitudes that are going on.
Right.
See the positivity, see the happiness, and what are they going to do? They're going to take that on right away and have that from the get-go and not have to try to learn it, right?
Yeah. I mean, real comfort is going to come from taking that next step or taking the leap of faith, right? You don't get comfortable before the growth. You get comfortable because of the growth.
Right.
Or because you grew, if you will, right? I think that's the lesson that a lot of small and mid-sized businesses learn once they finally decided to evolve. It's unfortunate that it takes that, right? But
when do you ever really want to get comfortable, really?
well, I think discomfort is temporary in anything you do, right?
Sure.
And so the benefits are always going to be a permanent thing. And so you're never comfortable in life, right?
Right.
No matter what, there's always something.
Sure.
But my point being is like discomfort is temporary because of the fact that like you're only uncomfortable because it's something you don't know yet. Once you learn it, it becomes another comfortable thing, and then you're just uncomfortable at the next step, right?
Sure.
So to me, I don't know. If you're listening to this or you're feeling stretched, if you're feeling maxed out, overwhelmed by opportunity, I think that's your sign you're ready for your next chapter. And to me, that's really what this was about today. It was just to like help people realize sometimes you just need that little push. And I'm giving you that push right now that, yep, you're uncomfortable. That's probably because you're on the tipping point of that next level, right? It's that fight or flight moment. You either are going to go back, flight is going to be, you're going to go back to where it's comfort and you're going to sit down and, okay, now I'm calm. Or you're going to fight and you're going, you know what, I'm going to move through this uncomfortable moment and I'm going to move to the next level and I'm going to be like, man, I'm glad I did this. Like, especially as you look at next year and you think forward, how is 2026 going to be different for your business? It's got to start with doing something different than you haven't done in the last several years. And so maybe that is investing in your business in the way of machinery. Obviously, right now we got tremendous year-end incentives, so great time to do it. But maybe it's adding new systems to your business. Maybe it's hiring a person that you've been putting off. Maybe it's a salesperson. Maybe you have always done all your own selling and then you're like, man, maybe I need to hire a salesperson and take some of this burden off of myself so I can focus on the other sides of my business.
For sure. It's a good one.
So that's where I'm at. Anything that I missed on this episode for you?
I don't think so.
So I want to jump into motivational quote. I wrote one down. I have it written down on the wall here, but it's, you don't just deal with adversity, you use it to propel you forward.
I like it.
And I really like that because it's the truth. Adversity is what really moves you to that next level. And sometimes it's uncomfortable. It's true. I mean, I can tell you I'm uncomfortable more than I'm comfortable in business. And it's just part of the job and it's part of what comes along with it. Sometimes that means you're doing things that you don't know how you're doing it.
But it helps you figure those things out and helps you figure out what you got to do to make things better or make things smoother, right? Or just
1,000%.
Make things overall better, I guess.
100%. Yeah. I mean, it's just.
I mean, do we like having uncomfortable phone conversations? No,
nobody does.
But at the end, when you come to a resolution with whoever you're talking to on the phone and make it work for both of you, what comes from that? You've learned something that either A, you can do next time to make that situation not happen,
right?
Or B, you at least figure out how to make your customer happy, right? And come to an agreement on what works for both people.
Right. Yeah. And I think every business runs into those moments where you're so uncomfortable because you've never done it.
Yep.
That you're like trying to avoid those conversations, right? Like maybe you're trying to sell a cabinet or a product that you've never sold and you're trying to explain that, like, just own it. Tell them that, hey, make that uncomfortable conversation less uncomfortable by saying, hey, I'm trying something I've never done here before.
Yep.
So let me work through this with you. I think your customer will appreciate it. It will also make you less uncomfortable, which then opens up the door for growth.
Sure.
And a lot of times it's attitude.
How would I mean, I would be much happier if I called somebody to do something and they were like, I've never done that before, but I can do it. Let me figure it out.
Right.
Rather than somebody saying, yeah, I can do it for you.
Right.
And then, a week later calling back and be like, oh, just kidding. I guess I can't do that for you. You better find somebody else to do it. Or something like that. I mean, I'd rather have somebody say, no, I've never done it before, but I'll figure it out.
Right.
And let you know that they're going to be, doing it for the first time, whatever it might be, rather than just saying, yeah, and then burning you later.
Right. I think that's a big part of business is you just got to be willing to like embrace change, embrace your future. There's so much more that is in front of your business if you just take a step back and realize that look how much is behind you already. Like you've already taken these levels and a lot of things you've done have already been uncomfortable. It's just the uncomfortable gets bigger as you get bigger, right? And so sometimes it's because you as a person need to grow with your business. That means you have to learn skills and, learn how to adapt to the ever-changing environment around you. And so I think that's a big thing for people is understanding you grow just like your business.
Yes.
And oftentimes growing the business is easier than growing the person. I think that's the truth.
Absolutely.
So
spot on, dude.
All right. Well, I got nothing else.
Let's get back.
I got a lot of things still, but not
we can
for
talk
this
more
week's
next
episode.
week.
Yeah. So we'll have a new episode coming next week. But until then, obviously, you've been listening to Talkin Shop. Keep building smarter, invest wisely, move with a purpose, right? Let's call it that. As always, I'm Brandon.
And I'm Nick.
Until next time, thanks for talking shop with ShopSabre.